Imagine you're sitting with your family at dinner when the TV suddenly cuts to breaking news. The anchor's voice is strained, almost disbelieving. A young man, son of a prominent U.S. senator, has been filmed leaning into the face of a uniformed police officer and spitting directly at her while shouting, "You can't touch me. My father controls the laws you pretend to enforce." Your first reaction might be shock. Your second might be anger. How does someone raised in the corridors of power display such venom? What happens when political entitlement collides with the justice system? And what does a judge do when the child of a federal lawmaker openly declares himself untouchable? Well, you're about to see exactly how Judge Frank Caprio responds when inherited privilege smashes headfirst into accountability. This isn't a typical case. This is the moment when a senator's son discovers that arrogance has limits, and that Judge Caprio is the immovable wall he will crash into. Monday, 3:15 p.m., Providence Municipal Court. 23-year-old Logan Pierce strides into Judge Caprio's courtroom as if he's entering a private wing of Capitol Hill. Everything about him screams privilege. A tailored suit worth more than most people's monthly salary, a polished gold lapel pin, marking him as a Senate staffer, a leather case embossed with the seal of his father's federal office. But it's his attitude that dominates the room. The cutting, toxic confidence of someone who has spent a lifetime believing consequences don't apply to him. Logan is the son of Senator Marcus Pierce, a high-ranking lawmaker and long-serving member of influential committees. Senator Pierce built his career on ethics reform and government accountability. His son, however, treats public service as a personal weapon. For years, Logan has used his father's name to intimidate local authorities, dodge responsibility, and bully anyone who challenges him. Sitting in the gallery today is the woman he assaulted, Officer Elena Ruiz, a decorated 12-year veteran of the Providence Police Department. Her collar displays her commendations, but her expression carries something far heavier: the memory of the humiliation she endured at Logan's hands. Next to her sits Detective Colin Hayes, who investigated the case and whose body camera recorded every second of Logan's attack. What brought Logan to court 1 week earlier? Logan was driving a government-issued vehicle through downtown Providence at nearly double the speed limit, live streaming to his thousands of followers. In the video, he bragged openly, "My dad practically runs the Senate. You think any cop in this city can tell me what to do?" He then blasted through 4 red lights in a row. Officer Ruiz activated her lights and initiated a traffic stop. What followed was the meltdown of a spoiled man who believed pedigree equals authority. When she approached the car and asked for his license, Logan rolled down his window and barked. "Do you seriously not know who I am?" Ruiz explained calmly that this was a standard stop. Logan exploded. He stepped out of the vehicle without permission and stormed toward her. "Listen carefully, my father chairs federal committees. People like you answer to people like him, so watch your tone." Officer Ruiz tried to de-escalate. Logan escalated, and then he crossed the line that changed everything. He leaned forward, smirked, and spat directly into her face. "That's my answer to your authority. Go ahead, try to arrest me. My father will bury your career by sunrise." Everything, every word, every threat, every hateful laugh was recorded on the body cam. Ruiz arrested him immediately. Logan resisted, screamed threats, tried to kick her, and shouted, "You can't handcuff me. I practically have federal immunity. I'm political royalty in this state." At the station, he refused to be fingerprinted and warned the officers, "One phone call from my dad and your department's funding disappears." But today, his imagined immunity is about to be torn apart. Inside the courtroom, the bailiff announces, "State of Rhode Island versus Logan Marcus Pierce, charged with assaulting a police officer, resisting arrest, making criminal threats, and reckless operation of a vehicle." Logan approaches the defense table with supreme confidence, his Senate pin gleaming. He doesn't even glance at Officer Ruiz. Judge Frank Caprio lifts his eyes with calm courtesy. "Good afternoon, Mr. Pierce." Logan smirks and speaks with the polished arrogance of someone used to being obeyed. "Your Honor, before we move forward, I must inform the court that I am the son of Senator Marcus Pierce. As such, there are federal considerations affecting this case. My family holds certain legal protections due to my father's position." Judge Caprio's face remains neutral. "Mr. Pierce, the charges are serious. How do you plead?" Logan straightens his jacket. "Not guilty. This court has no jurisdiction over actions involving federal personnel or their immediate family." Judge Caprio raises an eyebrow. "The lies begin, Mr. Pierce," the judge says. "Officer Ruiz's report states you spat at her during a routine stop. Do you deny this?" Logan leans forward, arrogantly confident. "Your Honor, I was engaged in confidential Senate-related work. Officer Ruiz unlawfully targeted a federal vehicle. I responded appropriately to protect federal privilege." Caprio narrows his eyes. "Spitting is appropriate." Logan does not hesitate. "Sometimes officers need reminders of hierarchy. My father's authority supersedes state law." Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Officer Ruiz speaks. Judge Caprio turns to her. "Officer Ruiz, please describe what happened." She stands, composed but visibly holding back emotion. "Your Honor, I initiated a normal traffic stop. Mr. Pierce became hostile immediately. When I continued with procedure, he spat in my face." Before she can continue, Logan explodes. "Because you were disrespecting my father's rank. You acted like you had the right to stop a senator's son. You don't." Judge Caprio raises his voice sharply. "Mr. Pierce, you may remain silent or be removed from this hearing." Logan folds his arms, muttering. The evidence that ends him. Caprio presses a button, and the courtroom fills with Logan's own voice. "You can't arrest me, you idiot. My father writes the laws you pretend to enforce." The video clearly shows Logan spitting at Ruiz, then laughing, then threatening her job. Logan turns pale but still tries. "That's taken out of context. I was defending a federal office holder's dignity." Judge Caprio responds. "Mr. Pierce, are you saying assaulting a police officer protects federal dignity?" Logan nods proudly. "Exactly." There is stunned silence. Truth hits him. Caprio folds his hands. "Mr. Pierce, you've repeatedly claimed your father's position shields you, but earlier today I spoke with Senator Pierce." Logan freezes. "Your father requested that I impose the full penalty allowed by law," he said, and I quote, "teach my son what accountability feels like." Logan's mouth falls open. No, that can't be true. He wouldn't do that." Caprio's voice is steady and devastating. "He did. He said your conduct has brought shame to his office." The sentence. Logan's confidence finally shatters. The arrogance he carried into the courtroom, the smirk he flashed at the cameras, the casual shrug he gave his lawyer, all of it evaporates the moment reality hits him. His breath grows shallow, chest rising and falling in frantic bursts. His fingers tremble against the wooden podium as if the weight of the room has suddenly doubled. "Your Honor, please." His voice cracks, sharp and raw. "I'm begging you, I made mistakes, but I'm not a criminal." Judge Caprio watches him quietly, the way a storm watches a ship it has already warned. His eyes no longer hold sympathy, only the measured calm of a man who has seen every excuse, every performance, every last-minute plea. When he speaks, his voice turns to cold steel. "Mr. Pierce," he says slowly, the name slicing through the air, "you spat in the face of a police officer and then screamed that you were above the law." The courtroom goes silent. Even the hum of the fluorescent lights seems to fade. Logan's jaw quivers. He tries to steady himself, but his knees feel like wet paper. His lawyer places a hand on his shoulder, but Logan barely feels it. The words consume him more violently than any punishment ever could. Judge Caprio lifts the sentencing papers, the sound of the pages turning echoing like a death knell. "For assaulting an officer, 5 years." Logan gasps as if struck. His hand flies to his mouth. A thin, broken sound escapes him. Caprio continues before the young man can breathe again. For resisting arrest and threatening law enforcement, 2 additional years. Logan's knees buckle. His body sinks lower, held up only by the podium. His tears blur the edges of the courtroom. His chest tightens until he can barely pull in air. And finally, Caprio's voice softens, but there is no mercy in it. For reckless driving, 1 more year. He closes the file with a quiet, final thud. Total, 8 years in state prison. Logan collapses into uncontrollable sobbing. Not the fake kind, not the dramatic kind, real, painful, panic sobs that shake his entire body. His expensive suit suddenly looks too big for him. His once perfect posture turns into the posture of a child who finally realizes there is no one left to protect him. "Your Honor, please," he cries, his voice shattering against the courtroom walls. "My life will be over. My future, I didn't mean, I'm sorry, I swear I'm sorry." He reaches out as if the judge might physically pull him out of the nightmare. But Judge Caprio interrupts, gently, yet unshakably firm. "Your future," he says, fixing Logan with a steady, unblinking stare, "ended the moment you mistook your father's position for a license to abuse others." Logan freezes. The words don't echo, they sink, deep, heavy. The courtroom remains silent. Even Logan knows there is no coming back from that line. The aftermath: Logan Pierce is escorted out of the courtroom in handcuffs. The same hands that once opened doors in Washington now bound behind his back. His Senate internship badge hangs crookedly from his suit pocket, swinging uselessly with each step. The shiny silver pin that once symbolized his father's political empire glints faintly under the fluorescent lights, but it might as well be a scrap of metal from a trash bin. For the first time in his life, Logan has no entourage, no advisors, no aides whispering how to spin the story. There is only silence and the steady echo of his shackled footsteps. As he passes through the aisle, people avert their eyes not out of pity, but because they are witnessing the fall of someone who believed he was untouchable. The camera crews scramble to capture every second. Reporters scribble frantically. But Logan keeps his head down, shoulders shaking, his world collapsing in slow motion. At the back of the courtroom, Officer Ruiz stands with his uniform still wrinkled from the night of the incident. He doesn't smile, doesn't gloat, doesn't whisper, "I told you so." He simply watches, steady, quiet. A man who did his job and finally saw justice walk out the door in chains. To him, this isn't revenge, it's closure. Hours later, the news explodes nationwide. Senator Pierce's son, SENT and CED, 8 years cameras swarm the Capitol. Journalists camp in front of the Pierce residence. Analysts debate whether this will end the senator's political career. Under immense pressure, Senator Pierce releases an official statement. It is carefully polished, professionally written, but the cracks show. He apologizes to the police department. He expresses regret for his son's actions. He states his full support for Judge Caprio's decision. But behind the scenes, insiders whisper that the senator broke down the moment he read the sentencing. For a man accustomed to influence, power, and control, this was the first time he realized there was a realm in America where his reach ended. The courtroom of Judge Frank Caprio. Days turn into months. Months turn into years. While the world moves on, Logan lives each day behind concrete walls and steel bars, stripped of privilege, stripped of protection, stripped of the illusions he once carried so easily. His arrogance dissolves. His entitlement fades. He becomes just another inmate learning the price of his choices. He spends nights replaying the moment he spat in Officer Ruiz's face. The moment he screamed that he was above the law. The moment Judge Caprio's voice sentenced him to 8 years of a reality he never imagined. And slowly, painfully, Logan Pierce begins to change. 8 years later, the gates open. Logan steps out, thinner, quieter, older. The world no longer sees him as a political prince groomed for power. He walks out not as a rising star, not as the son of a senator, not as the privileged young man who once mocked authority, but as a convicted felon. A man who learned, the hardest way possible, that no family name, no political power, No amount of influence can protect you from Judge Frank Caprio when you spit in the face of the law.